Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the second of 4 sets. The band behind me is called Soylent Green. Please give them a round of applause to make them feel very welcome. Also, up until this point, I've neglected to mention the annual COMA beer is on tap tonight. So, it's called Saison COMA. Hopefully Jade will come and talk about it later because she knows about beer. But don't get one now, but maybe the next break. I'm not going to say anything else. Enjoy this set.
One, two. Can everyone hear me? Ah, how wonderful. We are a band who plays music. What a good thing to hear. What a good thing to hear. We are Soylent Green and we are people. We're going to play a bit of music, but before we do that, I want to acknowledge that we are far from the first people to be playing music on this land. Very important music, storytelling music. This is the land of the Ghana people. This land is unceded land, and we want to pay our respects to elders past, present, and emerging. And we think playing music, sharing stories is an important thing. And that's why we are so thankful to be playing wonderful music, to have your listening ears here for it. And we're thankful for organisations like COMA that support musicians and people making music and sharing stories on and on. Thank you. But speaking of music, that's enough talking from me. We're going to play some music we hope you enjoy. 1, 2, 1, 2. Yep. Is everyone enjoying themselves? How nice to hear. I should have mentioned before, we're playing kind of, I guess, jazz-adjacent things. And I think an important part of jazz and this type of music, it's easy to kind of see it now in its state. And sometimes it's held as this very, it can be far off. We've all got to be quiet and follow the etiquette to listen to this music. But this is the music of the people. And I really want you to be involved in that. There's 6 of us on stage, but there's plenty more who are involved in this performance right here in front of me. So I want to encourage you, when you hear the things that you like, to make some noise, to move along. Oh, yes. Maybe I'll give you an opportunity to test it out, all right? Okay, Ciara in the moment is going to play something brain-meltingly good. I'm excited to hear it. I'm sure she is as well. All right, in a second. And then we'll test. Everyone's going to... Woo! Woo! Test out some other noises as well. You don't just have to do whoops. It can be, whoo, yeah, woo! Let me hear it. Go. How good. You've been listening to Ciara Ferguson on the piano. Give it up. You've been listening to Ruby Mensforth on the trombone. Woo! You've been listening to Giacomo Gattilla on the sax. You've been listening to Tasha Stevens on the bass. You've been listening to Cam Tonkin on the drums. And I've been Dan Isler on the trumpet. We got a couple more tunes. These are... Oh, this one's a freshie, so get excited. It's called Read the Room. All right, this is our final tune, and it's a tune called Polly. And the reason it's called Polly is because it's got polyrhythms, and I'm very inventive with names. All right, but you guys can be involved in this. So, in a second, I think this is the easiest way. So, in a moment, I'm going to get some of you guys, maybe I'll split the room, I reckon. Because it's a fun time, I'm going to split these tables in two. So this side of the table is over here, and then the rest of the room is over here. And you guys are going to be in charge of our 3. All right? So we're going... So join in. Join in with me. They're over here. You guys can join in for now if you want, or maybe that will confuse you too much. All right? Well, just take it easy, all right? All right, so keep that going, nice and strong. And the idea of a polyrhythm is that we're going to fit in another rhythm in between. So maybe these guys on this side of the room will keep the 3 going for the moment. All right, these guys will help me out over here. And you guys are going to be in charge of the 4. 2, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Keep it going. Oh, it's pretty good. We should end it with a da da gu gat to gat da da gu da gu gat da da gu gat gu gat da da gu gat gu gat. If someone next to you is clapping out of time, give them a dirty look. Oh, no dirty looks because everyone's clapping in time. Can we hear the 3 groove? Let's see. Ooh. Here's the 3 groove. Keep those 4s going. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. You guys are doing very well. Why don't we play the song and you can see if you can hear where they all fit together. Thank you. We've been Soylent Green.
Get a round of applause going. Thanks, guys. Fantastic set. Yeah. Thanks again to Soylent Green. Go to the bar and get yourself a little Saison COMA. Maybe, do you want to hear from Jade now? Do you want to come now and have a chat about the beer? Well, you could come before the next band's playing, or you could come now. But she's here. Please make Jade feel welcome. Jade's Republican here. I'm sure most of you know her. And great champion of live music and COMA in particular. So I'll hand over to her now.
Thank you, Sam. Excellent. It was a rhetorical question. You got a kind of 5 minutes, maybe 10, 15. What do you reckon? Let's listen to beer talk. So we're very, very glad and very proud again to partner with COMA to brew another beer. And we've done this for many years now, I think 8 or 9 years, and come up with such classics as the first ever double IPA that we brewed with COMA, and that was COMA Toes. So Toes was the name of the beer, which I still think is got to be one of the best. And kind of by name, by nature, you know, it cleaned up quite a few people. That one was over 8.5% alcohol. So COMA Toes did what it said on the box. Speaking of box, the real bock was another release that we did a few years ago, which is a strong red lager, and only the really, you know, rusted on beer nerds understood the reference. But the real bock was a goodie. We've had Exquisite Core, which we had a couple of cracks at because that was during COVID catastrophe. COMA Chameleon. Yeah. There are never too many cheesy puns. And Rizzicato, which was morphed into Rizzo Lager. So we've had plenty to play with. Last year, arguably, was the most approachable of the beers. So it was a very easy drinking cold pale. So very easy drinking hoppy pale. But also arguably the weakest name. It was the Hop Note Session Ale, grown, but it referenced the early comas. So lots of names. This one. So it COMA. COMA. Short and sweet, unlike the adventure of brewing this beer. So when we were thinking about it, it's inspired by the great Saison DuPont. So those of you who know, it's kind of the classic benchmark Saison. Saison is a Franco-Belgian style of farmhouse ale, farmhouse pale. It was brewed by and for farmhouse workers, so French and Belgian farmhouse workers, as a provision. So whatever grain was kicking around, whatever you had lying around, whatever yeast was used to ferment it with the magic stick, that's what made your Saison. So stylistically varies enormously, but they have in common a hybrid yeast. So it's part wine yeast, part beer yeast, part wild yeast, part bacteria. So there's some pretty wild stuff that goes on with Saisons. And Saison DuPont is kind of one of the more, it's certainly the classic example of that style, but it's also quite restrained. So it's 100% Pilsner malt. It's the Saison DuPont yeast, and we'll talk more about that in a second. Noble hops, and we went down the route of using a Kiwi derivative noble hop, Wakatu, and a very long, slow ferment. So the thing about the Saison DuPont yeast, it throws all those phenolics and esters, sort of peppery, lemon pepper, bubblegum, sweet and sour kind of characters. It's pretty intense, and it's most definitely a lover to hater character. But the yeast is renowned for being really, really, really tricky to work with. And so much so that our local yeast supplier, we're very lucky to have a local liquid yeast supplier here, Tommaso at Faveo, he tried really hard to talk us out of using it. He's like, I don't want to do it. I've done it before. It was a nightmare. Don't do it. Don't. And I'm like, yeah, no, that sounds like fun. It's like, no, don't do it. Don't do it. Because it stalls. So there's a saying as brewers that the yeast is the hardest working employee in the brewery. Like the yeast is going 24/7. It doesn't stop till the job is done. You've got to create, fairly conducive, situations for the yeast. The yeast wants it really, really sugary and a really, really high temperature. If you do that, the beer will be undrinkable. So it's kind of a constant compromise, but you give it just enough to keep it ticking over. It doesn't stop. Saison DuPont yeast has other ideas, and it just stops. when it feels like it. It just so happens it stops at almost exactly the same point every time anyone uses it anywhere in the world. It's a thing. It's temperamental. It sits down when it wants to, and you got to kind of coax it back into action. That point for the beer nerds amongst you is at a gravity point of 1037. So you'll be going like the clappers. You pitch the yeast, pretty confident. It's like, how hard can it be? You know, how hard can it be? Brewery that's been making it for decades, they make one beer and that's all they do. We can knock this off, you know. Trombone, how hard can it be? So we thought, look pretty straightforward, you know, look pretty straightforward. And of course, it hit 1037, and that was it. It just sat down, and it wasn't going to do anything. So we coaxed it, you know, we played it some music, we spoke to it nicely. It was not moving. We waited. So we waited, and we waited another week. Most beers, say if we're talking about ales, will be about 3 weeks in tank from brewing to kegging and canning. Lagers might be 4 weeks. This one, good old COMA, was closer to 10 weeks in tank. And it got to the point where we kind of, you know, we held our nerve for a very long time because eventually it will finish the job. But I thought I'd given us plenty of time, 3 months out from tonight. And then it was getting closer and closer to the day. I thought, no, we're going to have to call this. And so we repitched a yeast, a American ale yeast, which did finish the job, but even that made us work for it. So it's, without doubt, the most difficult COMA beer that we've brewed. And I would say, without doubt, the most difficult beer that we've brewed, just in terms of being patient and having to just wait and coax and hope that it kind of makes it over the line. And which it has, hence the name, COMA, a pause. You know, it's what you don't say, it's what you don't play. For a very, very long time, you know. There was semicolon someone suggested, but that was a bit too digestive, I think, for the... so I went with COMA. It is a challenging style, 6.1% Belgian. Anyone who's tried Belgian Saisons and Belgian ales will recognise that character straight away. It's also a journey, and it is, you know, the tale is not finished. You know, this is not finished. The other lovely thing about Saison yeast, apart from the fact that it takes so bloody long to finish, is that it kind of never does, and it continually evolves. So this is a DuPont-esque Saison, really early days. So you're getting a lot of that fresh Wakatu hop character to it. You're getting those fresh floral aroma characteristics. But it's still pretty green and still pretty young, still pretty fresh. Over time, this will continue to develop. It'll continue to ferment, so it'll be even more difficult. As I said, everything about it is difficult to pour over time. But it will, you know, it will integrate, it'll smooth out, it'll dry out, and it will become, hopefully, the lovely, delicate beer that Saison DuPont is renowned for. But by God, you have to work for it. So we did brew a double batch. And so we are going to be lucky enough to put some aside. So over the COMAs for the next 12 months, I would say, possibly even longer. We'll make sure we have a keg ready, held over for Christmas party next year. And we'll keep trying it, and we'll try it every month. And so your homework is to try it today and then lock that in to your memory, what it smells like, what it looks like, what it tastes like. Alternatively, buy a 12-pack, open a can every month. Make sure you keep it in the fridge, or you'll have other adventures. So keep it in the fridge, try it every month, and it will change and evolve over time because it's a living, breathing yeast, living, breathing thing. So that is kind of cool. So this is kind of V1. It will continue to evolve in the can and on keg, which is quite exciting. So is that 15 minutes? Yeah, we can keep going. So really happy again to have brewed a beer for and with COMA. As per usual, $1 per can goes to COMA eventually. And so you get warm fuzzies and warm fuzzies. So it's just a little way of kind of giving back to COMA, who gives so much. You know, they're amazing organisation. Great people doing beautiful things and doing it really, really bloody well. So thank you, COMA, and we'll see you next year with another beer. Thank you.
Thanks, Jade. We'll be back very soon with the Adelaide Slide Workers Union.